Hello, this is the third part of how I go about wallpapering my doll's house. So I thought I'd show you three different kinds of rooms. The first one is the really easy one because it's just floor to ceiling, or rather ceiling to skirting board, which is dead easy. It's all the principles I told you about in terms of the template, but this one is probably template-less. All you need to do is measure from your ceiling to your floor, take off a little bit to allow for some wood at the bottom for your skirting board to stick to it. That gives you the strip width, in this case 8 inches. Cut an 8-inch strip. Start on your back wall. I'll show you why when we go down to the dining room. Start at your back wall and then do the other 2 walls, and of course the 4th wall eventually when you come to do the door. You can also see what I was talking about in terms of the template round the door, making a cut round the door to have a little bit of wood exposed so that when you come to stick your frames on, it's got some wood to stick to. So it's a very simple room and no templates really needed there, just a bit of measurement and that's it. The way I did the doorway on this one was, once I'd got my 8-inch strip of paper, I held it up to the ceiling nice and tight, drew my fingers across it, used my fingernail to mark some edges, and just went away and cut those out, and then brought it back. And as I said, I tend to undercut on the first cut, make sure I've got it okay, and then I bring it back and see where I do want to cut it properly, take it away again, trim it back again properly, and then that piece of paper is ready to go. Okay, I'll show you why you do the back wall first. Bear with me while I turn the house round and me round to get to somewhere. Okay, when you've built your doll's house, you're always going to have gaps in the walls, between the walls and the ceilings and the walls and the floors and the walls. There's no way of avoiding it. There's always slight gaps. If you have a painted room like this one, it's just a case of putting up with it. You can go over those corners again with a fine paintbrush and some paint and try and fill them in, but really it's not all that successful, and you're best to just, if you've decided on paint, to just put up with them being like that. But if you're papering your wall, you don't have to put up with those gaps, because what you can do is this. This is the dining room, which has got the strip that's going between a picture rail and the skirting board. So I've got my 6.5-inch strip in this case, and before I even start on the corners that I want to conceal, before I even start to put my paper up or paste it or anything else, I fold back a little bit of the paper. So I then bring this strip into here and push that up against the wall with my fingernail. No glue on the paper as yet, just dry. And then hold it nice and tight across the room till I get to there. Rub my nail down there, which will give me a marker. Take my paper away and cut the piece of paper that's going to fit that back wall. I then paste it, hang it against the guideline, as I said before when I was talking about templates. So I know that the top edge is fine, it's in the right place. And I haven't put any glue on this strip as yet. The reason why, it doesn't particularly matter, but I find that if I glue that edge there, it tries to grab this wall when I'm putting the paper in, and it can make it quite difficult to get a nice tight corner. So I'd rather not paste that initially. I just leave that as it is, put the back piece up, snug that into the corners nice and tight, and then I will take some paste and just push that piece down afterwards and put it into place. The reason for this is when the next piece of paper goes in across there, overlapping that, you'll have a nice tidy corner. You'll have a corner where you can't see the gaps. I think I can show you probably on the border upstairs. Let's have a look. Yeah, if you look at that, you can see there's no gap where the border paper is. Well, if you imagine that was wallpaper all the way down, you've got rid of your gaps in your wall. Obviously with the border you don't, you've got gaps above and gaps below, but that just shows you that if you wrap this paper over it gets rid of those gaps. You do need to try and match your pattern. So when I'm starting on the back wall, I try to think of a good place to cut the paper down the edge that's going to make it easy for me to match. In this case, it's dead easy because all I'm doing is cutting behind, let me see if I can find him, cutting behind this boy figure here. So if I cut behind him there for this piece on the side, my back piece needs to start with those two little girls there, which is what's happened. So I've got two little girls at the back, and then the back of the little boy there, starting as it goes round, so that the border pattern will continue all the way around. Same principle with the wallpaper pattern. Try and find a nice, easy place to match a pattern and make that be your overlapping point so that you're not going to be struggle pattern matching. Okay, so there's 3 different kinds of wallpaper rooms. One between a picture rail and a skirting board. One that's just a border in a children's room. And one that's the main bedroom, that's all 3 walls, pretty much floor to ceiling.